all gonna die. So Donald Trump's back from that long trip away in Asia, and I'm so happy I missed him. I hope he brought us some gifts. Remember that when Dad would come back from a sales conference and always brought you a toy? My dad did a lot of traveling, though I never really knew why. But no matter what, he always brought home a gift for me and my sisters. He got me this fun doll on a trip to Cleveland. Gave me body lice. Then there was this neat sleeping pod from Detroit. He would put me in there for what he called emergency naps. And then this really cool chair from Chicago. Oh, how it hurt. So what gifts did President Trump bring us from his Asian jaunt? Well, he had some very productive meetings with world leaders, so he brought home stronger ties with our allies. Even better, we got China to send an envoy to North Korea. This is pretty big. We've moved the ball forward and did so on our terms. Compare this to President Obama's idea of diplomacy, where we apologize and they burn only half our flag. And of course, there were those basketball players caught shoplifting in China. Boo, yeah, oh, terrible. It's embarrassing for us. What, are Chinese products that much better than ours? What part of Shoplift America First don't you understand? Shoplifting is bad, unless, of course, it's at Hot Topic. I kid, Hot Topic. There's nothing worth stealing there. And their employees are so gloomy. Clearly, someone had a phase. Anyway, Trump stepped in and got the players out, and then wondered if he would get a thank you from the freed UCLA basketball players. He got this.
To President Trump and the United States government, thank you for taking the time to intervene on our behalf. We really appreciate you helping us out.
I would also like to thank President Trump and the United States government for the help that they provided as well.
And thank you to the United States government and President Trump for your efforts to bring us home.
Yes. And you can tell those statements were totally unprepared. Anyway, and then he tweeted a 2-page "You're welcome" to them. Have a great life, he said. Be careful out there. Now, that's not your buddy's dad doing that. That's the president of the United States. And then he chided the players for not also thanking the Chinese leader because he's, awesome. But this is a good lesson for American kids. The world isn't like us. In America, theft is conflated with protest. Elsewhere in the world, you could lose a hand, which I don't condone sometimes. Anyway, what did the media focus on instead?
Thank you. Oh. They don't have order. That's okay. What? No, it's okay. Oh.
Oh. It crashed Twitter. Let's watch it again. I gotta say, that's pretty commanding. He's like a hawk swooping down to snatch a prairie dog. It's also funny because he's talking about North Korea at the time, and the media only sees the water. But if that's all you can joke about, life is pretty good for Donald Trump. But not everyone cares, especially when there's breaking news to be broken.
Those teeth are still waiting for somebody to claim them. Somebody left these false teeth behind in these in a Portland, Maine voting booth on Election Day a week ago tonight. Now, a very helpful elections clerk scooped them up and kept them safe. The owner of the teeth that have been found, such that he or she is not missing these teeth even a week later.
Mind-blowing TV. Definitely more important than trade, North Korea, and a bustling economy. Yes, indeed, someone forgot their dentures. Until they find the owner, I'd keep them away from Al Franken. true. Let us welcome tonight's guest. He's so patriotic. When he's sad, he's red, white, and blue. Fox and Friends weekend co-host Pete Hegseth. He's sharp and funny like a scalpel that squirts water into your organs. His latest comedy album is called We're All Adults Here. Writer and comedian Kris Freed. She's the last with unlimited sass. National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. And finally, the monster under his bed has nightmares about him. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Pete, how do you think he did on his trip? And what did you like most about it?
I thought it was excellent. On a serious note, what I liked most about it is it was an actual Asian pivot, unlike what the other Obama administration said they were going to do.
Right.
Never did. Let China expand their influence in that region, as they have since economically and militarily. And he scrapped TPP at the beginning of his administration, which was meant to be in some ways a check against China. He said, no, this is an international scheme that actually entraps us more. Why don't we build individual relationships with all these countries?
Yeah.
Re-level the trade playing field. This trip was about trade and an honest conversation about how they've taken advantage of us, and about checking China militarily. I think it accomplished those two in the beginning steps. So I think it was fantastic. It's great to see a world leader stand up and say, I represent my country first, just like you're going to represent yours.
All right. Kris, what was your take on the whole basketball thing?
I like the parental analogy that you did, where he comes home from a trip with gifts. It's like my dad never brought me 3 basketball players and called my Korean bullies short and fat while I was gone between meetings. That's cool. But no, I like with the dude, like, it's fun because with families, he gets to choose, in this analogy, he gets to choose which family members he doesn't talk to at home. Like, they go, oh my God, hey, Uncle Roy Moore's, and he goes, I got a meeting. I can't. Not so much talking about that.
Yeah, it's so good, Tyrus, in a way that all the bad stuff happened kind of when he was away, so he doesn't have to deal with it. Oh, that happened while I'm on the trip.
So you guys all had dads? Damn. Now, you know what, man? It was... Come on, man. You know,
I can't help. That's a funny joke, even though it's true. Anyway.
All these dad stuff. I was like, man, I got nothing but genes. DNA. The trip, I thought, he went on a business trip.
Yeah.
We elected a businessman, and this is what happens when businessmen go on business trips. We had 8 years of diplomacy. We had 8 years of our bad. We'll try better. We'll give you hugs. Now it's business, and it came out very good for America. And he got, like I said, he got the basketball kids home, and it was more like a scolding.
Yeah, it was.
You know, I think if he was allowed to, he would have spanked them. But that
he would have.
You know, like hashtag ass whipping when I see you guys inside. You know better than me stealing. You know, and I think it was great. You know, and one thing he did that I thought was phenomenal. He stayed focused, which is difficult for him sometimes.
Right.
On the trip.
Right.
All the media on this side was throwing. They were fishing anything to get him to bite and talk and get off task. No, I'll deal with it when I get home. Phenomenal trip. Well done, Mr. President.
Kat, you can comment on whatever you want. His hydration method, his style, the basketball players, the kind of job he performed. What is your overall take in this?
Well, about the water thing?
Yeah.
I think that it's actually fine to drink water.
Oh, excellent.
Like, what do we want, a dehydrated president? You
That
can't
is
have
true.
that.
That is
Of course, he did make fun of Marco Rubio for drinking water, but it's still fine. I just want to know if he drank the water like that for the camera, or if that's how he drinks water when he's alone.
No, that was a defiant. That was a defiant.
When he
water
did,
thing.
yeah, he
That
just
was
went up and he went like he twisted it like he was twisting the head off a doll.
Or in this case, a media guy.
Yes.
He has great performer instincts, which is a running theme, because he does. He knows that he charismatically sips. He's making everyone wait, and he goes. Does the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, very Clint Eastwood.
Hydration is important.
It is important, and I think it's serving as an example to other people who don't drink enough water. You know, my point is that I think that, like, Donald Trump, and I'll leave it, Kat, just to you to follow up, his personality is suited for this kind of job. Everybody was looking for him to be a certain way after Charlottesville, right? That's not who he is. He's not going to give you the group hug, but he's going to go out and deal with international Dr. Evils. That's he's hired to go out there and be a jerk.
Yeah, he dealt with it really well when all the headlines were either like, okay, well, this might not be such a big deal or might not be that great, and then the president drinks water. Yes, me too.
President overfeeds the koi pond.
Yes.
You know, like that was a headline for a day and a half.
Exactly.
Until we rolled tape on the Japanese prime minister doing the same thing.
The same thing. And by the way, I've had it with koi fish. Why are you guys so important? You're still fish, right? You can't drive.
You can't say that about fish. You need to apologize.
Do I need to apologize?
Yeah, I'm not going to have to testify against you. Please apologize to fish.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the importance of expensive fish.
Where's that slippery slope end, though? Then dogs?
Dogs, that's
everything?
true. That's true. Dog, fish. I don't know. Republicans tend to achieve more on a global front than Democrats, I think. Because they have a coherent view of the world. They believe America is an exceptional and special place, that without a strong America, the world is chaos. Chris, the other thing I noticed is that Trump is the confirmation bias flashlight. So it's like no matter what happens, like, so if something good happens, it's pure luck that it happened. Yeah. If something bad happens, it's his disposition. It's like, oh, he's just evil. So like something good happens, like the basketball players, well, that's bound to happen. If something bad happens, it's because he's just a jerk.
Yeah. I do think the demeanor of them and how they said it almost as if Trump called them and said, I'm not letting you out unless you say it's me. It's like they were just like, yeah,
that's true.
Thanks to Trump, he did that.
Yeah.
We stole some stuff.
I kind of felt that they had a stern, and they're still suspended. I mean, they're
indefinitely. Yeah, they're scholarships.
Well, I don't know. I think
as it should be.
I think they learned a lesson, and in a way, I think we all learned a lesson about shoplifting. That shoplifting, it's not cool, kids. It's not cool to take things that aren't yours, okay? Somebody built that, and that store owner makes a profit of it, all right? And I didn't shoplift. Today. In China. Oh. Today. All right, coming up. He's been biding his time. Who wrote that? But 2020 could be past his prime. Will Uncle Joe dare take on Trump in 2020? Not too soon to start talking about it. With whom will you be siding if it's Trump versus Joe? I couldn't resist it. Former Vice President Joe Biden's been doing interviews to promote his new book, aren't they all? And he's sounding like he's seriously not ruling out the possibility of maybe thinking about running in 2020.
I, honest to God, haven't made up my mind about that. I'm not closing the door. Look, I've been around too long.
Joe, you may be the guy whether you've made up your mind or not, because this ain't happening again.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
And booze. Adorable. I'm going to miss that. But the Dems bench isn't too deep, so maybe it'll be Streep.
You're going to run for office? You should. No, you should, Matt. You should.
Oh, I love her stance on Roman Polanski. Anyway, or this guy may run on a lark and make Republicans choose between Donald and Mark.
First, most important question, are you running? Are you considering running? Considering running. Considering running. Right.
I'm out. Meanwhile, I have my money on this guy to run.
I'm Al Franken, Minnesotan.
What, did something happen? All right, Pete, what do you make of this Biden versus Trump? Who would be better for the troops?
Well, I know it would definitely be Trump, of course, but the left is going to be a food fight of proportions even more than the 17-1 field that Trump ran against. Take as a preview the Minneapolis mayor, to stick with Al Franken in Minnesota. It was, I'm a socialist. No, I'm even more of a socialist. No, I'm this aspect of a socialist. It's going to be a run to the left like we've never seen. And I don't know, where does someone like Joe Biden fall down into that? He's part of the old guard. He's part of the old line Democrat party. He's going to want to look progressive. He's got his own Bidenisms that play into the narratives of today.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So he's got his own problems. I don't see it for Uncle Joe.
Yeah. Kris, how's your brother's Joe Biden impression?
My brother's Joe Biden?
Yes. I don't know why this is a question. Why is this a question? Do you have a brother who does a Joe Biden impression?
No, I have a brother who doesn't talk to anybody and is secretive.
Who wrote that question? Who wrote? Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. Whoever wrote that question, meet me after the show. I thought, like, was your brother, like, doing Joe Biden impressions forever?
For a second, I was like, I have to do an impression now? Oh, Jesus. Oh, man.
What do you make of this choice?
Well, what I had submitted was that I want Mark Cuban to run.
Yeah.
Either way, I want him because that means more debates for Trump.
Right.
The more debates, the more entertainment for me. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I think he would win, and I don't know, that'd be more entertaining. I think throw him in the Democrat debates too. Why not? Just let him moderate the Democrats. That'd be fun. Why can't he do that? Meryl Streep, she's not doing it. She's going to star in the Lifetime adaptation of What Happened, the movie.
Yes.
As Hillary. That'll be sweet. No, she cares too much about the arts to do things that actually matter, so she's going to stay out of it. She's, unlike Franken's victim, she's woken.
Yes. And she gave a standing O to, I believe, Roman Polanski and referred to Harvey Weinstein as God. So I think that's gonna follow around. But Kat, there's some other things. There are some unusual things about Joe Biden. But should Trump be worried or not worried?
Well, I just agree that I miss the debates.
Yeah.
I think it's not fair that we have to wait for elections for the debates. There should always be debates. You sit there with your little Twitter machine and your little mug of wine, and it's so much fun.
A mug of wine.
Wine glasses are such a waste of money. They both hold liquid exactly the same, and one of them is far more durable.
Yeah.
Thank you. The people agree with me.
The only people that drink wine from a mug are like longshoremen living in a basement.
Yeah, and you know what? They're probably great dudes.
They are.
Down-to-earth dudes.
I don't want to offend them.
Joe Biden doesn't have the same kind of baggage as Hillary Clinton did when it comes to things like the fact that she was a war hawk.
Yes.
Which was one of the main things that attracted people to Bernie Sanders, that he had more of a non-interventionist view.
Right.
When Trump was the least hawkish person in the race at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that it would be a little more difficult. Those would be fun debates to watch.
No, it would be, I think, Tyrus, I think Joe Biden hasn't faced anything like Trump, and he could lose. He could get really screwed up and tied in circles.
All right, listen, maybe. He's selling a book.
Yeah.
So he's going to say, yeah, maybe I'll run to sell his book.
Yeah.
His opportunity to run, he sat down to let Hillary.
That's true.
You don't get that back. Whether you, and I actually like Mr. Biden. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he has a great family, but he had an opportunity to run when he was the vice president, and he stepped aside for an unfit candidate, which goes into his judgment and the fact that he was able to be bullied by his party not to run. So for him to come in now, Americans, we're going to remember that.
Yeah.
So regardless of whatever he's running on, we're going to be like, you stepped aside for her, bro.
Yeah, but remember, he stepped aside because his son had passed away, so that played a role in...
There was a lot of pressure from her people and the DNC, everybody she bankrolled.
Yeah, I think that there was like... That was the reason, but there might have been other things, and he could have. I think he could have won at that point.
But let's not forget, Joe also was gagged for about 2 years.
Yes.
They said, "Hey, bro, you can't talk for a while."
Well, yeah.
We didn't hear or see for him at all.
It's true.
We were like, "We have a vice president. Where is he at?" Like,
also, we have to talk about the elephant or the naked elephant in the room. If you remember, Ronald Kessler's book, which was called "The First Family Details how he would like to swim naked at his house in front of Secret Service agents, including female ones.
Well, there you have it.
But you know what? Maybe he didn't know they were there because they are Secret Service. But in that book, they said he was the second most difficult person to cover as a politician behind, obviously, Hillary Clinton. So there are things, and there's all those pictures and stuff. So he'll be. I think that this is just.
He's selling a book. Like, I'm running for I'm selling a book. I'm running for president, y'all. Buy my book.
Besides, it's going to be Kanye West. Yeah. It's going to be Kanye West.
Could be.
Is he still alive?
Don't underestimate how much they feel like they have a Pennsylvania white working class problem, and they'll lunge at a guy like Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. All right. Still to come. Is there such thing as terrorist rehab? Yes, there is, and we're going to discuss it. All right, I think we found an answer to the mystery from the previous segment. The question I asked Kris was, how's your brother's Joe Biden impression? That was a question meant for Stephen Baldwin for the next show. All right. Somebody is walking out of the building with all their belongings in a cardboard box. Sorry, Mr. Dobbs. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. All right, they're taking a stab at rehab. A newly formed group outside war-torn Aleppo is attempting to de-radicalize ISIS militants. It's therapy for terrorists. The Syrian Center for Anti-Extremist Ideology opened in October. 100 captured ISIS fighters and sympathizers are enrolled in the program, which includes lectures covering Islam, psychological and intellectual development, media, entertainment. No word whether hot yoga is included. I don't even know what I said there. The center's director tells Fox News, quote, everyone has a point of weakness and thinking from which we can get into his ideas from a particular side and then remove his extremist and terrorist thought from his brain. Interesting. Oh, yeah, right. I ain't buying it. Meanwhile, one U.S. counter-terror expert says the best way to deprogram radicals is just to keep beating them on the battlefield. Don't worry. He can't hear the applause. No, so will this terror rehab work? No. I believe we have tape of a recent lecture.
Who are you? Where do you come from? Are you listening to me? What do you want to do with your life?
His best role. All right, I'm going to go Kris. What do you make of this whole school idea, rehab?
You know, it's funny. My brother Alec does a really funny impersonation of a terrorist in rehab. What I was going to say is that at least it's a better idea than Canada, which their program was just giving that dude $10 million.
So true.
For no reason. So that was better than that. But I do like picturing the whole situation. Like the dude's in there and they're just like, my name is Mohammed, like the rest of you. I'm on day 23 here. I'm scared. If I go to Afghanistan, I may have a. Never mind.
All right, Pete, you're the expert here. We talked about fighting the war of ideas. Is it better to change ideas or just kill any kind of? I think the best rehab is martyrdom.
Yes. What? I agree with you. Let them have what they want.
Exactly. That's the best rehab.
The best rehab for an ISIS fighter is a Tomahawk missile to the face.
Yes.
I don't know why there are any left.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, listen, the only loophole you can see in this is some 6-year-old kid grows up in a madrasa.
Yes.
Parents threw him in
agree.
there. He's been indoctrinated with a bunch of crap. Now
agree.
he's 11. He's got post-traumatic stress. He doesn't know what he believes. His parents are dead. If you can reach that kid, then you've got a chance to turn some people around. It's probably something worth doing at that level.
That's a good point, Tyrus. You can if these are people that just got pulled in because there was nothing else going on and their parents and they've seen all this horror. What would you tell them if you had to give a lecture at this school?
If I had to give a lecture at this school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that'd be awesome. Well, first thing I have a little handout, a little bullseye.
Yeah. Just read. Yeah. The little handout. Just read it like this.
Yep.
Just hold it like this.
Class pitch. Everyone say cheese. No, you know what, man? Man, it's mean, but they're mean, so screw them. But I think you're dealing with let's take this for a perfect example. That we have Catholics and Lutherans and Jewish faith in this room, probably. go have a coffee together and convince the other one to join your religion. See how that goes. And I'm betting that in a room full of peers, which Muhammad's going to be the first one to be like, you know, actually, that's not a bad idea. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. So you just play a little game where in America it's called bowling, and you have them all line up and like, this is a grenade. Whoa, boom. You know, like, I just think that's the only way to go.
Kat, there is a history of deprogramming with cults that happened to be pretty effective in the 70s. There were a lot of cults, and these deprogrammers came in. If you look at this as a cult, and if these are just, you know, these aren't terrorists, can you deprogram a terrorist?
You know, Greg, I did some research for this segment.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I Googled stuff.
Yeah.
I found out that with addiction treatment, the relapse rate is between 40 and 60%.
Wow.
I'm all about civil liberties. I'm all about a compassionate treatment-based approach to drug abuse. However, when your addiction is to literally being a terrorist, I don't really like those odds that much.
Yeah, that's true.
So the passages Malibu for ISIS thing, I say no.
Yes. And you can't persuade them with an alternative lifestyle when they look at your alternative lifestyle as a humiliation of their present system, because the whole point is that their system doesn't work. So they watch the world pass them by. So you bring them in and you go, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong. That just makes them want to kill you more because you're reminding them. The whole growth of ISIS was based on a reminder that they were being humiliated, and they had to continually be humiliated. You had to destroy ISIS because if they had any success, it was going to expand.
Yeah, the only way to reestablish your predominance is to establish the caliphate.
Yeah.
And lead to the end times. We tried this, by the way, at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where I was a guard for a year when there were 700 bubbas there. Those guys didn't want to change their mindset. They wanted to get out so they could kill us.
Yeah, exactly.
And that wasn't even ISIS. This is the Taliban and other forms of
You were a
Al-Qaeda.
guard. I forgot you were a guard at Gitmo.
Longest year of my life at Guantanamo Bay. But
how was the food?
Food was.
No, that's
it was decent, actually.
Yeah.
Good cheeseburgers.
Good cheeseburgers at Gitmo? Ooh, that would be a great Jimmy Buffett song. Cheeseburgers in Gitmo. Cheeseburgers. I'm doing an impression. I'm doing Alec doing an impression of Jimmy Buffett. Cheeseburgers in Gitmo. That's the only thing I can do. I don't know any other words. I'm going to go to a tease. Coming up, the most disturbing film about killer robots you've ever seen. How the weapons of the future could be programmed to kill you, and only you, not me. They love me and only me. Yes, they seek to ban what they cannot understand. I speak of the group behind a disturbing and brutal short film warning about the dangers of fully autonomous weapons, killer robots and drones. Yes, this bigoted robotist film begins with a military firm unveiling a drone that uses facial recognition to kill a single target.
It has cameras and sensors. It does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents.
Not my skull. But here's what could happen if that same weapon falls into the wrong hands.
Can you hear me?
Well, that's pretty scary stuff. That clip was shown by an international coalition of scientists at a UN convention this week who say the window to stop these weapons is closing fast. In the interest of being fair and balanced, we went to a robot for response. How can you not love a little guy like that? Tyrus, I think this is a hate film against robots. I think that that last part, look, any weapon can be used like that. In fact, do you know that the Pope once tried to ban the crossbow back in the Middle Ages because the crossbow was such an advancement over previous bows.
Yes. Well, yeah, because you had to go like this, and the crossbow you go like that.
Exactly.
Look, man, first of all, the dudes in the van,
yeah,
they're going to fly all those with that guy who was struggling to open the door. Did anyone not notice that?
You'd be a better director than they would.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I get it. I think that's where technology is going.
Mm-hmm.
And that means less of us on the ground getting shot.
Exactly.
That means, you know, wars are done easier.
Mm-hmm.
And groups like ISIS are hiding in little nooks and crannies.
You nailed it.
Did you hear that? Yeah. What was? Stick your head out. Boom. Oh, you know. So I'm good with that. And here's the thing: all those little drones, or whatever, turn the sprinklers on.
Turn the sprinklers on. It always kills the drone.
And then, hey, look, did you notice that? Everyone with a hat on was good. So, you know.
Everybody with a hat on. You know, okay, Pete, I think that what Tyrus is saying is right in that being anti-drone weapons is inhuman because wars will drag out longer if you don't are highly specific in your targets. And if you are going to argue against these drones, you're still allowing terrorists to have the collateral damage advantage. As long as you can't be specific, they're always going to use human targets. In this case, these weapons are designed to minimize collateral damage by specifically focusing on the target, the guy in charge, instead of the other people. So I think that what the argument here is really dangerous, and I think it's a scare tactic.
Well, and when the UN bans things, clearly terrorists stop doing them.
No, that's exactly.
I mean, it has literally never happened.
Yes.
So we better have better drones and better targeting and better countermeasures because you can't put technology back in a box.
No, you
never
can't.
Will. So let's be better at it. Use it to kill all those ISIS students.
Yes, yeah.
We need to.
Yeah. Kat.
Last day of work.
If the argument is to me terrible because they're saying these deadly weapons are bad because they're deadly. But shouldn't we be the first to make it and then decide what to do with it? That's what we always do. We're always the first to get the weapon and then decide whether we ban it or not. Don't say ban it now and then let somebody else, China, get it, or terrorists get it, or whoever, Iran gets it. Then we are no longer the superpower.
Right. On the one hand, I do get it, because I'm not a scientist, but when I was younger and I heard the story about Frankenstein,
yes,
I immediately got very afraid that my walking go-go pup toy was trying to kill me.
Yes.
So I totally get that. But as a libertarian, whenever I hear the phrase preemptive ban, I kind of go, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Kind of like how fish fans feel about the phrase, maybe you should take a shower.
That was a direct hit against our booker, who likes fish. And I'm not talking about the food, but the actual band. All right, Kris, they're called the Campaign to Stop Killer Robots. What side are you on here? Are you pro-killer robot?
Sure.
Okay.
My side is that it's going to happen.
Yes.
No one's ever said we have this great technology. You know what? Let's not look into it.
Yeah. The internet. We don't need it.
There's good and bad. Yeah. My problem is that I don't like the videos when they went all like Michael Bay, exaggerated, emotional, stupid storyline. There's a kid like Skyping his mom during class somehow, right when this happens, and then he chooses to like cry with her instead of get out of the room. So I don't know how believable. I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't believable at all.
It wasn't believable.
It's actually kind of not that scenario, but you could conceive of a pretty nefarious plot with no fingerprints on it, where a bunch of these things are with facial recognition, political assassination, things like that are really hard to do now. Could get easier, but you can't put it back in the box.
You can't put it back in the box. You might as well be the person that put it in the box or built it and then got it out of the box. And remember, you be nice to these drones because they're going to remember you. Because when they reach super intelligence and become smarter than us, they're going to know that Greg Gutfeld was the one that said, "You're okay, little dronies." Still to come, if Marie Claire trying to bully Taylor Swift into talking politics, we'll try to bully Marie Claire into making a magazine that's actually readable. Taylor Swift released a new album last week. I've already worked out to it 30 times in front of a mirror wearing nothing but leather overall shorts. But the women's magazine Marie Claire has a big problem. Why Swift still hasn't weighed in on the presidential race. Boo-hoo. They wrote a scathing piece tweeting this headline with it: "We're still waiting for an explanation of Taylor Swift's decision to remain apolitical during the 2016 election." Did she vote for Trump? Hillary? A write-in candidate? I'm told many of her songs are about me. Of course, we know who Taylor Swift really voted for. Very sexy man. Kat, people are calling this article cyberbullying. You're an expert on cyberbullying.
Yeah.
What was it? No?
But I can't get over the fact that so many of these other celebrities apparently consider themselves to be political.
Yes.
Are they really political? Are they really doing their own research and coming up with their own conclusions? Or are they just repeating what they hear all the other celebrities say to try to fit in? Right. That's not being political. That is being a parrot. And if your activism could be matched by a pet bird, then I think you should leave Taylor alone, because you're probably not that revolutionary.
You know, Tyrus, I worked in magazines for a while. I firmly believe you should never take advice from magazine editors, because we're generally miserable and sad.
Well, not to mention, hashtag none of your damn business.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an entertainer. I don't have to talk about politics. She talks about, like, your first kiss on a date, you know, like, what, lollipops, and I don't know what the hell Taylor Swift music's about, because I don't listen to it, but
it's about Taylor Swift.
I'm pretty sure it's not about, like, you know, Trump this, Trump that, and Hillary this, Hillary that. And what would have happened if she was like, I'm Trump all the way?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd have been heads blowing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and Trump.
Yes.
Trump Swift. Man, what will we do?
You know, Pete, I know you read Marie Claire a lot. Do we? Are they asking for something that we don't need? Don't we need fewer political opinions?
Absolutely. I mean, the opposite of parroting is doing what no one else is doing, which is staying in Hollywood or being where you are and not commenting politically. I remember what Michael Jordan once said. He said, Republicans and Democrats both buy sneakers. I mean, Taylor Swift is a capitalist.
Yeah.
She's selling a cajillion albums because she doesn't use that platform to beat people over the head. Where's the last place where we go where we don't get... I can't even watch football anymore because of politics. The one last place where I can just listen to music.
Kris, should Marie Claire actually, like, why?
She's not my sister, no.
No, she's not
related to her at all.
But I mean, why don't we demand what they think politically? Of course, they would tell us exactly what's expected, because they'd be virtue signaling to fellow editors.
They'd say, read my stupid magazine with all the clues in it.
Yes.
No, if Taylor Swift had dated Donald Trump, there'd be 3 albums already. Yeah. But I don't. I like how the article was about, like, they're demanding an explanation, which is, it's the same thing as if someone just goes there, hey, you wanna lose 50% of your audience for no reason?
Yeah.
That's the explanation.
Yeah,
like,
that is.
Who says, like, oh yeah, you're the greatest star in the world. You want to get in on that Kathy Griffin money? That was a real good choice.
Boy, she's gotten really bad. You see the stuff she did to, what's his name, Andy Cohen. It's pretty amazing. Terrible person that she is. Women's magazines are now officially anti-women. They're going after one of the strongest women in America, Taylor Swift. Glamour called Linda Sarsour Woman of the Year. This is a woman who advocates for Sharia law. That's a Woman of the Year from Glamour magazine. Yeah, thank you for that. Don't go anywhere. I've got a special product you can bring to Thanksgiving this year, and it's not a flask.
If you'll be in New York City and would like free tickets to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
Finally tonight, some Thanksgiving advice. Remember, this week we're all in the same boat. We all have to hang out with relatives we don't like. The good news, you don't have to listen to their whining about whatever it is annoying relatives whine about. That's because there's now a cure for it.
It's just not fair. She won the election, the popular vote, by 3 million votes, and Russia stole the election. You know that.
Is your inability to quit whining ruining your life?
I just can't deal with this president. I mean, he's so embarrassing, and he makes my life so personally difficult.
Maybe you should try shutting the up.
Never heard of it. How's it work?
It's simple. When you're about to use your mouth hole to make sounds to form words, your brain sends a signal to your lips so that you shut the up.
Can it really be that easy? I mean, what usually works for me is if I find out how I'm feeling and then I
shut the up.
No, you're not letting me finish.
Shut the up. Shut the up.
Ever since I stopped whining and shut the up, doors open for me. People want to be around me again. Thanks, shut the up.
So get shut the up today. All you have to do is nothing.
Very good. All right. Special thanks to Fox and Friends Weekend Pete Hegseth. Chris Fried. Buy his comedy album. Kat Timpf. Tyrus. Our studio audience. I love you, America. I'm Greg Gutfeld.